testimony of Jesus. It's all about Jesus.
We have read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. There hasn't been a man called after God's own heart except David. Now, these are the 5 reasons why God called David a man after his own heart. Number 1, love. David should have rejoiced when he learned that his number 1 enemy, King Saul, had been killed. But when the news came to David, he took hold of his own clothes and tore them. The Bible said, David mourned and fasted for the one who always sought to take his life. This means David saw beyond hatred and overlooked all the wrong done to him. Nothing makes us love a person so much as praying for him. Jesus Christ loves us so much and is still praying for all of us. Number 2, prayer. David was a man of prayer. He knew that prayer cannot take a day off, so he prayed 3 times a day to God. Psalm 55 verse 17. David is simply telling us that prayer is the only means to take in the life of Jesus and to give out the life of Jesus. Number 3, humility. When Nathan the prophet prophesied to David that he had committed the sin of adultery, immediately David was quick to admit his weakness and humbled himself. Then he removed his coat of kingship and pleaded for God's mercy and forgiveness. By his show of humility, David might have said to himself, "Do not comfort me, O Lord, until I am cleansed from my sins." God values men of humble heart and will always exalt them when the need arises. Number 4, boldness. David understood that boldness can do what others cannot. So he looked at Goliath, a world champion, through the eyes of boldness and saw Goliath under his feet even before the battle began. David is telling us that our boldness in the face of our opposition can make God leave his throne to do the battle for us. When we decide to do what God has put in our hearts, God will give us the willpower to overcome our battles. Number 5, kindness. David was a man of kind heart. Despite the many attempts King Saul had made to take away his life, after the death of King Saul and his son Jonathan, David chose to ask if there was still anyone he could show the kindness of God to in the household of Saul. And when David learned that there was still one son, even though he was crippled, David called for him to live and dine with him in the palace. David shows us that kindness is the language which the crippled appreciates. The blind sees through, the deaf hear from, and the dumb speak from. These are the 5 things God saw in David before calling David a man after my own heart, and he will do whatever I want him to do.